Welcome back to Big Blue Fantasy. Today I have the pleasure to introduce one of my dear friends who happens to be a very hardcore Niner fans, much more than others, but in more calm demeanor. Allow me to welcome Vishal. Vishal is a dear friend. He's a Niners fan, and he's going to be... I have a lot of good, exciting questions to ask him related to how it feels to be a Niner fans who, I think the past 5 years, have always finished second in like almost everything, and it sucks because I've seen it, like how close you have guys been, and even that 1 year where you guys did get Nick Bosa in top of the draft, it just somehow Niners always find a way with injuries, with some sort of thing, and call it the Niners curse because today CMC ended up getting hurt. So we welcome. How do you feel about this?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on. Second of all, fuck. What the fuck is going on? It seems like we can't do anything except get to the NFC Championship game, and then an injury takes us out. Right? The NFC Championship game 2 years ago got fucked up. Brock Purdy got knocked out the game. We fucking have, what's his name? Josh Johnson come on the field, barely can throw a forward pass. He gets knocked out. Fucking CMC's a goddamn quarterback for a little bit. And then last year, I swear to you, if Dre Greenlaw doesn't fucking hop, skip, and tear his ACL getting onto the fucking field, we win that game hands down. It's just, it is what it is. Like you said, the Niners curse. But you know what? Every year, we're going to be that team.
I won't lie, going into how the season played out and everything, you just hear some things from reporters and you see from fantasy perspective, this person's hurt, that person's hurt. But seeing the documentary series Receiver come out on Netflix, and then you get to see players like Deebo Samuels and George Kittle, who, well, George Kittle is a different beast. I think he's just having too much fun out there. He's like the biggest kid over there. But Deebo Samuel, who is a very gadget player, and he plays through injuries.
I wouldn't go that far. He is not a gadget player.
I mean, in terms where 49ers do run the offense better when he's on the field.
So I'll say this. You can call it being a gadget player. I'll call it, he's going to get me my 5 yards.
Okay.
When he wants it, he's going to get his 5 yards. That's all I want.
So he's Keenan Allen.
Yeah, pretty much. But stronger. Right? And that's a lot. That's saying a lot. That's saying a lot. Someone who's 6'4", like 220 pounds, like Keenan Allen. Deebo Samuel at what, 5'9", 6'1", somewhere around there. You know those fucking heights are never true. He will run through you, not around you.
No,
and
yeah.
As a Niner fan, you mentioned two of the best players. Two players I love watching. Two players why I still fall in love with the team every year. In Kittle, who, like you said, giant kid out there. I remember a few years ago, or watching a documentary or something that, you know, one of these primetime games we're doing a deep dive on, and it was George Kittle just laughing whenever he tackled somebody. To this day, I don't care that he catches the ball. I want him to tackle somebody just because I see that giant smile on his face. And then Deebo, it doesn't matter what you throw at him. He's going to take the ball and he's going to run through you. That's what I love about it. Everyone says we're a finesse team, right? Brock Purdy's this, our team is that, the Shanahan offense. Look at what Deebo Samuel does with the ball in his hand. He takes that ball and he runs it down your throat from anywhere on the field. And that is fucking contagious, because then you see CMC do the same thing. You see George Kittle. How many times do you see George Kittle stiff arm a defender right through the sideline and keep running? Right? It's just that. And then the best part about any of these games, and you can ask Sonny whenever you get to talk to him and his Packers talk, I will sit there with him and I will yell and scream and I'll be the most excited on a run play, because I know every single one of those wide receivers and tight ends is going to throw some motherfucker off the side. That's what I love about Niners football.
Now, I definitely found out that Niners are bullies, especially when it comes to how cocky, more than their defense. It was shocking to find out their offense are like the dogs. They're the ones who's like, nah, we're going to get rough, we're going to get wild, we're going to get crazy. and it shows. Before we get to the Aiyuk talk, which is like the talk of the town right now, and then obviously the CMC, Brock Purdy, compared to how Alex Smith was, in terms of not even Alex Smith, Jimmy Garoppolo. Sorry, I'm going way too far. Jimmy Garoppolo, the numbers are almost similar, but Brock Purdy, if you're watching it, he just seems more decisive and accurate when it comes to that. People will argue stats, but why are you more confident in this team going further with Brock Purdy at helm than anybody else?
I'm confident because the rest of my team is confident. You talk to George Kittle, you talk to Deebo Samuel, they have all the faith in the world in Brock Purdy. Talk to CM, you read all the comments that CMC says Brock Purdy is the guy. He commands the huddle. Something that, gorgeous Jimmy never really did. He was there, he sometimes would throw a ball, sometimes go off his back foot, throw the ball to the other team. Brock Purdy does that sometimes, but you know what? He'll get back up, and nothing says it more than the NFC Championship game this past year against Detroit, where he literally, and people don't realize this, he took the game on his back, and he ran the fucking ball.
Detroit was up 24-3 at the half.
And what did he do? He came back and won.
It's always how the story ends. And I remember watching receiver and George Kittle. George Kittle called it. He's like, what are they going to say now at the end? He just kept on saying that. He goes, "It's when we finish the game." And it went exactly how George Kittle wanted. And call it luck, but Netflix seems to be getting the right people for it. And Niners, they worked it out last 2 years. So you living in Jersey, it's very hard to see your team live. What made you become a Niners fan?
So it's a very simple kind of, I guess you can call me a bandwagon fan. When I was 8 years old, 1994, I was sitting there, never really watched sports. I started doing a deep dive into sports. I was watching the Chicago Bulls. I was watching Mike Jordan, the GOAT, by the way. Then I was watching the New York Rangers, my favorite hockey team in the world. They won the Stanley Cup. The Bulls won the championship. And that year, the Niners.
Okay.
I watched Steve Young throw the ball, and I fell in love with the red and gold.
Okay, no, that makes sense. And I don't know if I call it bandwagon because you're 8.
It was a bandwagon then, right? Because they won then. And the thing I always say is, I went from a bandwagon fan to the guy driving the bus. Because I've with them since then. Through the Alex Smith, the Mike Singletary, all those fucking years, right? The Jeff Garcia years, all that. I had to deal with that. I took it on the chin.
I mean, yes, you got to see the Super Bowl that made you a fan. But you guys, I really truly feel bad because it's not to like say to your face, I'd rather Niners win than Eagles or Cowboys. Like that goes without saying ever.
Yeah, you both.
Yeah, that's easily my two teams that I want the worst like luck in the world for. But for Niners, it's just, I really truly feel bad. And now we're getting back to the new topic of the day, the Madden Curse 25. With the number 1 overall pick for the fantasy football happens to get a calf strain, which will keep him out for anywhere from 3 to 7 weeks, maybe 3 to 6 weeks. And for a running back who needs those muscles constantly, how do you feel, bro?
I don't think I'm worried. I think CMC, he's proven that, he's going to do what's right by him. He's been an injury-prone player his first couple of years. I think the last 2 years, he's kind of strengthened up a little bit. I also think that this year, the hamstring strain or the calf strain is actually coming off of him just being overworked the last 2 years.
Yeah, he had 428 carries last year, including playoffs?
Yeah, something like that. And that's going to hurt anybody, right? So at the end of the day, I don't ever want to draft CMC in fantasy. That's just my thing. I love the guy. I don't want to be the guy who drafted him and then be the one that's be the one that caused him to get cursed. So I refuse to do that.
So what's your worst memory of the team? Like, what is the worst decision the Niners made, and why is it Trey Lance?
It's not Trey Lance, because if you didn't get Trey Lance, we'd never have Brock Purdy. We never got Trey Lance.
The only reason I say that is because imagine they had the draft capital.
Wouldn't matter.
Okay, so you look at positive, like we at least got the quarterback we needed.
Well, I'll look at it differently. Even if we had the draft capital, we don't know what the next year would look like. So all the draft, whatever we're talking about now, we don't know what's going to happen. And one of the biggest things of my belief is the systems make the players, not the players make the system. I don't care what anyone says.
Okay.
You need to have a good coach. You need to have a good offense. You need to have a good offensive line.
Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid.
Yeah. You want to get on that? We can get on that.
No, we'll get. I know you want to talk about that. We'll get on that afterwards because obviously Patrick Mahomes is well hated by the Niners fans, rightfully so.
I don't hate him. I just hate him when he plays my team,
which is often in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So worst decision. What was the worst decision your team made?
Worst decision, and I can confidently look back on it in the last, let's say 6 years. 6 years. Trading DeForest Buckner.
Oh yeah, to the Colts.
Because we traded him, and then we thought we'd get smart and get younger, and Javon Kinlaw's now on the Jets. And yes, he had a great year last year, but he never really lived up to the 17th overall pick. Meanwhile, DeForest Buckner, that man's a fucking beast. At 6'8", a defensive tackle, like come on. He gets to the quarterback. Imagine if we had him for the last 3 years.
Was that the year they also drafted Solomon Thomas?
No, that was the year they drafted Kinlaw.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But Niners have that. They always end up drafting good defensive prospects and then mold them good, and then they can't afford to pay them because there are other players that need to get paid. And it truly sucks. I guess Now let's get back to the longest drama that might finally end. Brandon Aiyuk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. I honestly, even me, I wanted Brandon Aiyuk on the Giants, and you know this.
You've been saying this for 3 years.
Yeah, I've been saying
my man finished his rookie season, and you texted me saying he's the future Giant.
Oh man, I love it. Look, listen, I like the dude. I love the talent. He is insanely talented, and I think he is the biggest sleeper in the NFL when it comes to route running. The separation he creates by himself in one-on-one coverages and in a good cover package. He is so good, and that's why I want him. Is the talent is there, and it sucks that he doesn't get to utilize it in such a packed offense, like fantasy-wise. Niners offense is freaking crazy. George Kittle, you got Deebo Samuels, you got CMC, Brandon Aiyuk. Right now, I think on consensus ADP, all those players are going in top 5 runs. Like, that's a fantasy gold mine. So now Aiyuk is, well, he's been vocal about it this whole offseason, and it looks like it's moving faster than we thought. With the Steelers, the Browns, the Patriots, and I think we were also hearing the Seahawks maybe, or was it, I forget who the 4th team was.
I don't think they'd ever trade with the Seahawks, first of all.
Okay, not in the division, yeah. So what do you think about, like, what do you feel?
So I will say it this way, and it comes from me and my job and my profession. Someone's always going to feel undervalued in their position. Being the person that manages the team, like John Lynch is the GM.
And he's a great GM.
He is underrated and underappreciated in the NFL as a GM for what he does. But we'll get to that later. But his team, him and his team went to Aiyuk's camp and have been negotiating, or not, whatever you want to, whatever these people are saying online, right? The brass tacks of it all is, he's been saying, this is what we value you as in our offense. It is probably 26 to 27, maybe even $28 million a year, or 4 to 5 years.
That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of fucking money, right?
That's a lot of money.
I believe, if I'm not wrong, it's still more than what Deebo Samuel makes a year. So he'd be a clear number 1.
Mm-hmm.
It's more than anyone else on the team makes, save for Nick Bosa, who we don't even need to talk about, because when you win Defensive Player of the Year, that's your resume. I
think defensive player now, the edges especially, are the highest premium position in NFL, and rightfully so. Those beasts are a monster. I didn't know Aiyuk was offered that much money because, granted, I love the dude and I think he is insanely talented. He hasn't put up those numbers to demand that money. It's like,
So this is where fantasy and what I like to kind of I always, and you know this, I don't look at the fantasy impact. I look at the total game schematic impact most of the time. Aiyuk by himself, he could only get 1,000 yards a year. He'd still be worth $28 million because he is essentially a tight end offensive lineman on the line during the run game.
Yeah.
So he affects the play on all 3 or all 4 downs, right? When it's not special teams, then it's fourth and goal or fourth and go. So he deserves that, right? You don't need to take him off the field for 3rd down. You need to take him off the field for first, 2nd down when you're running CMC. He's in there and he's getting his hands dirty. He is throwing people out of the way and giving lanes to everybody else on the team. He's also in the passing game when he is not being covered or, not being thrown to. He is pulling safeties and corners and sometimes linebackers out of an area so that another player can come in. And people don't understand. Yes, fantasy, we all want players to score points. When it comes to true fandom, like I think I have, and I will say that I have, I love what Brandon Aiyuk brings to our team. I don't want him to go, but going back to your original conversation or question about how do I feel about this, John Lynch and his team have said to Brandon, this is what we value as. You want more? We give you permission to look at the team. Ball's in your court. Otherwise known as, I'm calling your bluff.
okay.
Go play in New England. Right?
I
Go
think
1,800 yards. Go do all that. Never sniff a Super Bowl again.
so. Coming back from fantasy perspective, I think him going to Patriots right now, they have no idea if Drake May is going to be ready. No idea. I think he's getting
Jacoby
beat by
Brissett.
Jacoby Brissett, and I think the new rookie they drafted on the 6th round, I think he's also outplaying him. So we have the whole Kirk Cousins situation happening in Patriots.
Yeah.
That's completely different story. If he goes to the Browns, they have Jerry Jeudy, they have Nick Chubb, they have Amari Cooper. I mean, we don't know
And
if
they have Deshaun Watson.
and we don't know if Watson's gonna be freaking rookie year or he's gonna be last year, and it's really tough. I think either one of those two situations is bad for him compared to where he's in Niners. And if he goes to Steelers, that might be the better situation because we know they like to throw. And I think we read the offer. I think it's Pickens in 2nd round or something.
Sign us up.
We're
Sign
just
us up.
valuing him.
See you later, Brandon. Sign us up. George Pickens and a 2nd rounder. Give me that.
Pickens is
Give
good.
me that. Because George Pickens, I will tell you this right now. George Pickens is a better Brandon Aiyuk.
Really? I think he just has
He has
speed.
immune.
Body control, I think Aiyuk has.
No. George Pickens. Okay. If Brandon Aiyuk has body control, George Pickens has glue for hands.
That is true. His hands are insane.
Throw the ball in his vicinity. He will out-jump you or he will undercut you and take the ball and run. He is faster. He has just as much as a nasty streak as Brandon Aiyuk. Only thing I don't like about George Pickens, which I think could be fixed in a Kyle Shanahan type of offense, is what happened to Brandon Aiyuk in his first year when he was in the doghouse. Shanahan, the story is
then he had to lose weight and stuff. Yeah.
He had to lose weight. Shanahan didn't like his effort on running plays. Said you need to get in there. You need to start blocking. You need to be part of the offense, or you're not in the offense.
Yeah.
If George Pickens gets that switch flip, he will be the next top 4 wide receiver, fantasy wise, for the rest of the.
I mean, they also drafted the kid out of Florida, right? So backtracking on the Brandon Aiyuk conversation, where Niners did draft a backup plan with Ricky Pearsall from Florida, who I think is hurt right now, might be injured.
Yes. He's day to day, is what I'm being told.
I did see his highlights after he was drafted because I was not, I didn't do my research on him because I stopped at Rome, and obviously I was in love with Nabers and Marvin Harrison Jr. But this dude is a freak. He is insane with his hands. He's quick in and out of routes. He is a big bodied receiver, and he doesn't look big. So I think they have another. He reminds me more of Deebo Samuel than Brandon Aiyuk.
That is absolutely correct. He's another one of those. I'm gonna take the ball, and you try to stop me, but you won't. I'm taking 5, 6, 7 yards, or I'm going over the middle. I love players, especially in the Shanahan offense, that go over the middle and are fearless over the middle.
They're not afraid to catch.
Yeah, not afraid to catch, not afraid to go toe to toe with somebody, not afraid to take a hit. I'm gonna take that play you're talking about, that one highlight. He caught it one hand over his head and took a shot.
Yeah, he reminded me of Gasecki from Dolphins when he did that shit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So everything in Niners in terms of success is you guys are good enough to go the distance, but it just sucks that you never get to finish. So going into the 2024 season, what is your main concern for the Niners?
It'll always, always, always be the defense. I feel like our defense, no matter how many accolades and how many flowers people throw at them, at some point in a game, their game plan is discovered, and a good offensive coach, such as Andy Reid, will learn and implement it into his game plan almost simultaneously or instantaneously during the game. And that's what happens. We have great pass rushers. We're great on all three levels, right? John Lynch does a great job of finding 5th, 6th, and 7th round draft picks that become all pros. Problem is, you don't have 11 of them.
Yeah.
You have to fill out your roster. And you fill out your roster with some bad dudes, but still, not all of them are all pro.
Okay. So with that being said, what do you predict the win and loss rates for Niners this season?
Listen, the pure fan in me wants to say we're going 17-0 and then undefeated to a Super Bowl. I feel we're going to have our slumps. We always have a slump at some point. I think we go 12-5.
Okay.
I think 12-5 is...
I think that's a humble number.
I think what's going to happen this year in the NFC West, 12-5, is going to be good for a share of the division or the number one wild card.
I still don't think there's anybody in your division that can hold a card to you guys right now. I think it's still Niners division, and they have to go through them.
I think so too, but when you play a team twice a year, they learn your tendencies very quick. No matter how many times, Kyle Shanahan could change up and, be a mad genius. At some point, it's going to get caught up, right? And I don't think the Cardinals went backwards with their draft, right? Marvin Harrison Jr., like you said, is a fucking beast, right? One of our biggest deficiencies on defense is corner. Who's going to stop him, right? Seattle, like DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett.
And JSN now.
Yeah, and that fucking guy, Tyler Lockett, no matter what, he catches the ball and drops to his feet, first down. Every time. He always finds that little sliver and just gets the ball, drops to his feet. Never gets hurt, just gets up and continues on with his work. And then Rams, their defense might be taking kind of a step back this year with Aaron Donald retiring, but Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp.
Oh, Puka is hurt right now. Cooper Kupp has been also bad luck. Yes, I think, honestly speaking, I don't know why. I just feel like even though the Seahawks will be great on offense, I don't know if they're going to be good on defense. That's my only thing. With Rams, again, I think they'll be better on offense because we saw last year, Puka was unbelievable. Kyren was unbelievable. Now they got Blake Corbin, who's like a clone of Kyren. You are going to have Rams, I think, in offense, especially with Matthew Stafford, just moving the ball more. But it reminds me of the Detroit Lions days where that's all Lions had with Matthew Stafford. They were able to move the ball down and score, but the defense was not able to stop it. So I feel Rams will have this version. Again, I just, coming from an NFC East where it's constantly dominated by the big two, which is fucking Eagles and Cowboys. And they just have the talent. I think that's the difference when it comes to Niners. Niners are that team in that division. And even with Marvin Harrison Jr. being with the Cardinals, I don't trust Kyler Murray. He had Nuke, and Nuke didn't throw any top 10 wide receivers when he had Kyler Murray. And you're not going to say no, Marvin Harrison, no matter how talented he is not right now as talented as Nuke was.
So here's a perfect kind of throwback question to you. Given what you know about Lamar Jackson and his unbelievable speed and cutting ability.
True.
And I'm going to say this, and it's going to bite me in the ass at some point, but his not so accurate throwing pattern that he has.
Yeah.
Would you rather have Lamar Jackson in Arizona at this moment, or would you rather have Kyler Murray, who, if you don't remember, Kyler Murray can drop pinpoint balls all over the court, all over the field.
Correct.
The problem with the Cardinals has always been
the line.
They're cheap. They don't know how to draft offensive linemen, right? And I say this because as much as I'm a Niners fan, one of my all-time favorite players, and I still hate that he never got his chance.
Larry Fitzgerald.
Yeah, to hoist that trophy, the number 11 Cardinals.
Completely agree.
Right? Like, I can hate him as much as I want as a Niners fan, but I respect that dude.
He's one of the greatest.
Like, they need talent, and their ownership group just doesn't know how to accumulate it, and that's their problem.
I mean, that's sometimes just the fact that they have never tasted the success like an organization has, like the Niners, because you guys don't have just one-time success. You guys actually have a legacy, and it shows, and I think it continues because you guys also hire internal, and that's why I think Niners are built for success. Now let's get back to the juicy stuff before we go into the fantasy questions and talk about fantasy things. Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. I know you want to talk about that.
Yeah, so we've had this discussion in our group chats, in our fantasy football leagues, everywhere. And I'm going to say this, and it's not a hater. I'm just trying to look at the whole of the NFL and how I see it. Patrick Mahomes fell to the perfect spot with the Chiefs, and Andy Reid in particular. If he went anywhere else, and mark my words, anywhere else, even the San Francisco 49ers, he would not be Patrick Mahomes as you see him today. And that is a very obvious statement, but it needs to be said because people don't realize that. Patrick Mahomes is amazing at what he does, but he was taught that. That kind of mentality was drilled into his head by Andy Reid and the Kansas City Chiefs organization. The reason that he's not a gunslinger in like the old Brett Favre terms is because Andy Reid has challenged him mentally to understand the game and pick apart defenses as he sees them. That is a lot of game study, that's a lot of film study, that's a lot of practice reps, that is a lot of your head coach knowing exactly how to run an offense, and especially in Kansas City, the Andy Reid offense to perfection. That's why I will always say Patrick Mahomes without Andy Reid is no better than probably Ryan Tannehill.
I mean, I don't know about Ryan Tannehill, but I will completely agree with the first statement because Andy Reid has shown with McNabb, he has shown with Michael Vick, he has shown when he has a quarterback with good caliber, he will make that quarterback be the best version of themselves. And sometimes the quarterbacks, not sometimes, the prior two quarterbacks just let their egos and they made mistakes and they lost the game. And Patrick Mahomes is the perfected quarterback that Andy Reid has dreamed of. So,
before you go any further, the one name you left off that list is my man, Alex Smith.
Well,
Alex Smith was nothing, absolutely nothing. Coming from a Niner, he was nothing until Andy Reid's got his hand on him.
No, I think, and look, I mean, let's not say nothing because he got picked over Aaron Rodgers. That's something else. I think where Alex Smith succeeded was if he was a quarterback in like the 90s, he would have been a dream for a lot of teams because he was safe, he was accurate, and he was very decisive. He just didn't take the risk. He never took the extra mile to put the team over the back. He just said, hey, I'm going to get 5 to 10 yards, and I'm going to worry about the next play.
I'll say this. The one thing people forget about Alex Smith and his tenure as the number 2 overall pick, or was it number 2?
Number one. He was number one.
Number 1 overall pick for the 49ers is, I believe it was a crazy stat where in his first 6 or 7 years, he had 6 different offensive coordinators. There was no continuity. There was no learning for him.
Yeah.
He had to learn pretty much 6 different offenses, and he started from scratch every year.
Okay.
And that's what I mean by, if you have a stable coaching staff and a great head coach, especially in today's NFL, a great offensively minded head coach, your quarterback will do amazing. People like CJ Stroud, I will say is an outlier, but I will also say he has a great offensive coordinator.
I think he has a great head coach, man. Niners head coach.
Listen, D'Amico Ryans is amazing, but I'm talking about my point of having an offensive-minded head coach. CJ Stroud, when he is an absolute beast. My one thing that I'm waiting for is to see how well he does when Bobby Slowick is no longer his offensive coordinator, because you know he's going to get pulled away into a head coaching.
Well, he almost did this year, and he came back.
I expect, again, I'm probably getting ahead of myself here. I expect CJ Stroud to be in the MVP conversation this year.
I think
if
he
not
is.
The favorite, right? If not the favorite.
Well, in fantasy right now, he is top 5 quarterback.
Yeah, I'm not even talking. I'm talking reality. He's going to be the MVP this year.
See, I think it's really tough because as much as I like CJ Stroud, and he has a lot of weapons there with now Diggs, Collins, he just has a lot of arsenal of weapons he could use, and with Mixon even coming down there. But at the same,
all they were missing last year. Remember that. That's all they were missing was a fucking running game.
Yeah, they definitely.
Well, they had Singletary. It was still, they needed a better running back.
Yeah, I am not gonna. I think he's a great dark horse candidate. I think he could be this year's Herbert. You know how everybody's been banging the drum saying that Herbert is the next coming. He's gonna be. This is it. He's gonna be the next one.
You ever watch what's the FS1 show with Acho and Shady and Joy?
Yeah.
What is it? Speak. They've said something about Justin Herbert, and I may be saying it correctly, but he's the TikTok quarterback. I mean, it's great to look at.
Yeah.
He's good. He's a distraction, but until he proves something, he ain't shit. It's just another distraction.
Okay, now let's move on from Niners. I think Niners, honestly, compared to Giants, you guys have more of an excitement. Giants, we got a new shining toy. We got Malik Nabers, and I watched him in practice. Daniel Jones loves him. Like, these two are inseparable, and Malik Nabers is insane. But again, he's a rookie, so I'm going to temper my expectations this year because not every single rookie is going to be like Puka, OBJ, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. Those are outliers. I'm just going to keep my expectation down here, and especially in the whatever. Giants have nothing. Niners, huh?
Well, you said you wanted Brandon Aiyuk. You get Malik Nabers.
But Brandon Aiyuk, but no. See, Brandon Aiyuk, the game has slowed down for him. He understands the game. He makes the game go his way. Rookies, no matter how talented they are, there are going to be moments where somebody that's just been in this game knows the system faster. And doesn't matter the talent. It could be a defensive back that was drafted in the 4th round, but if they've been in the same system for 4 years or a good defense, they're going to shut you down. Best example I could give you is we have our cornerback, Giants cornerback, Trey Banks, who when Marvin Harrison went up against in college, Trey Banks got best of both series. He won both the things. Am I saying Trey Banks is the greatest cornerback? Absolutely not.
You mean Deontay Banks?
Trey Banks, yeah. Yeah, that's the nickname, Trey Banks. So, sorry, Deontay Banks, yes.
Not a Giants fan, so I don't know.
So, yeah, completely my fault. I just so got used to calling him by nickname. So I'm just comparing where there will be moments where a more professional caliber player that's already in the system that the game has slowed down for will outwork the rookie. So they are going to be learning curve. So that's why this year I'm not going to be like, oh my God, he's going to have 1,400 yards and like 12 touchdowns. I wish and I hope that happens. But again, he's not Brandon Aiyuk yet, and I think he will be next future. But
you think he's going to be Brandon Aiyuk?
I think he's going to be better.
Or you think he's going to be Justin Jefferson? Because I believe...
I think he's Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. I think he's that.
That's where I was going. That's a whole different caliber. That is an offensive player that doesn't need a scheme.
That is true. I wish you could watch him in training camp. He's insane.
That's the thing I say. There are few players out there that don't need a scheme, and I will say this again. It's not the quarterback, because the quarterback's not out there designing plays.
That makes me feel better as a Jets. That makes me feel better.
There are players out there, and Jamar Chase is one of them. Right? I'll even say this: some defensive ends. There's only, I believe, one defensive end that I think fits that bill, and that's Myles Garrett.
Okay, yeah, he's a beast.
On any team,
he's a beast,
right? And you have to figure out a way to match that athleticism at that size, right? Middle linebacker, that was Ray Lewis and probably Brian Urlacher back in the day.
Yeah, Brian Urlacher was a beast, and Ray Lewis too, yeah. But
right?
no, like Ray Lewis, you also had Suggs. You also had the great system. I mean, he's great, no lie. I think Brian Urlacher was much more of a beast than he was, especially with the Bears. Okay, I am happy as a Giants fan to have that reassurance. So now, talking about that, have you been able to keep up with the ADPs of the fantasy football consensus right now?
I'll be honest, I haven't, but I never really use ADPs because I only use what I've seen in fantasy, which again, it's a bad strategy because I've barely placed top 6 in the past 3 years in your league. My other leagues, I have placed a little bit higher. But I've also had, I believe in our league, for those who don't know, we have a 12-team league that Suel is our commissioner on.
12 teams is the way to go.
12-team live draft league coming up, September 3rd? At
the Labor Day, yes.
In that league, I believe there's a lot of people who have a lot of knowledge. And they do research, which in some of the other leagues, people don't, right? And they just kind of wait for the last few days, look up ADP ranks, and say, okay, this player, they've made their mind up at that point, right? There are times when I've looked at players, and I keep them in the back of my head, especially from last year, that this player is going to be good this year.
Correct.
And those are the things that I take into account more than what the consensus of people are saying out in the world what they're going to draft and their ADP. Because ADP is just a collection of everyone else's choices just to give you an indication as to where they should be, not where they actually will be.
Okay, I completely agree with what you're saying. You draft in the mindset where this is not where I'm drafting this year because they finished last year. I'm drafting them here because what they're going to finish for next year.
Yep.
Okay. And with that being said, the reason why I asked this is Marvin Harrison Jr. is right now going on the top of second round.
Jesus Christ.
And Malik Nabers is going in fourth round, anywhere from middle to late fourth round, sometimes top of fifth round. Do you think those ADPs are valid?
So I'll say it this way. Marvin Harrison with any other quarterback on any other team, save for Lamar Jackson or the teams that we know that just run the ball mostly and don't know how to air it out, with Kyler Murray as his quarterback, should absolutely be drafted at the top of the second round. He is going to get, and I'm going to exaggerate here for effect, probably 300 targets this year.
They have Trey McBride, bro. Trey McBride's going to get 100. You know Trey McBride's going to get it.
What I know about Kyler Murray is he'll lock on to his favorite target. And when he finds his favorite target, and his favorite target changes every year, it seems like...
Yeah, that was McBride last year.
And he's the epitome of a young, almost child. He's got a new toy. He's going to play with it until it drops. Okay. That's what he does.
So
that's why he goes there.
Okay, so his ADP you think is justifiable for next year?
Yeah. Malik Nabers, 2 words. Daniel Jones.
That's not reassuring, bro. Okay, you know what? We can get to that. I hope them both have those same great success. Now, I want to talk about the consensus top 5. And I think it's unanimously the same everywhere. But I'm going to talk about top 6 because that's how it's working. It's CMC, CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, Amon St. Brown, Breece Hall, and Bijan Robinson. These are the people. With CMC getting hurt, if you were at the top of the draft, like number 1, just saying that, would you trust Bijan or Breece to finish top 5, or would you trust CD, Tyreek, and Amon?
I take the wide receivers all day.
Okay, good. That's good because
and I'll give you a little. And I know you're a Giants fan, but we need to talk about the Jets for a little bit because it is in our backyard. Breece Hall's going to have a great year, but something, and I hope I'm not coming across as a hater. I'm not coming across as a hater. Aaron Rodgers, when he has full control of an offense, will change out of a running play to throw the ball. Never the other way. So, I believe, yes, he's going to have a great year, and he has the potential to do great things. I believe his chances, if he was going to have, if Aaron Rodgers followed the script, I think he'd probably get 400 touches this year. Knowing what Aaron Rodgers does and how he wants to be in control and the maestro of the offense, that number will drop from 400 to maybe 300, maybe in the 275. So you're talking about a 25% share that's gone. That's the reason that gives me pause to say Breece Hall will be somewhere in the top 5 just because of the opportunities lost to an audible at the last second from Aaron Rodgers, or a broken play that Aaron Rodgers is a great, talented quarterback. He can take a missed snap that's supposed to be a run play and turn it into a 50-yard bomb for a touchdown. Those are the options, or those are the plays that Breece Hall won't be able to make an effect on. And those take away from his target share that he should be getting.
See, I kind of, well, we also had Aaron Jones when he was in system with Aaron Rodgers. He was good. He also got those passing downs, even though we had Devontae Adams as well. I think Breece Hall, with the shit he has been given for the past 2 years, and Garrett Wilson, both equally, they have been incredible. And I think that's why the talent and everybody is pushing him that far up. But this is kind of giving away a secret and a draft plan or idea. I don't trust Bijan or Breece to finish top 5.
I don't either.
Well, yes, Arthur Smith is gone, and that's great for Bijan. But at the same time, now they have Kirk Cousins, who loves to pass, and they got Drake London, they got Pitts, they got people that want to throw the ball. And Bijan, he'll get like 250 carries, and he's still going to be great. But this year, especially with CMC getting hurt, I'm just going to be like, yo, you know what? Wide receivers. I'm going to take a risk on Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, freaking AJ Brown, Puka Nacua. Oh, well, Puka's hurt. He'll be back, whatever. But I think there's much more safety at wide receiver in the top of the draft than the running back. And, but there are going to be people that are going to be like, no, I want my running back. And I am completely fine with that.
I'm one of those people. My draft strategy will always be to fill out the running back group because there's so few of them.
That is true.
Affect the game.
That is true.
But what that strategy is, you give up. You give up to other teams all these top-end wide receivers. Yes, you could get someone who scores 15 points a game, but when you're talking top-end, you're talking 22 to 25 points in a standard PPR with bonuses league like we got, right? Okay. You're talking about a 7 to 10 point difference every fucking slot that you pick a running back over a wide receiver at that high in the draft.
That is true. If you do hit on a running back, the reward is higher because it's really hard to hit on a top 5 running back all the time. They usually don't repeat. Wide receivers, Tyreek Hill, most likely chance to repeat as wide receiver 1. Okay, with that being said, I want you to give me who do you think is going to be your MVP of the year, Rookie of the Year, and Defensive Player of the Year? Just guts.
I think MVP.
Well, I think you said CJ Stroud.
Yeah, CJ Stroud, I believe, is my pick for the MVP. I think a dark horse in there, if you want to go down that route, is Aaron Rodgers.
Wow, wow, bro. I mean,
And that's
that
saying
man's
a lot
old.
for me. Saying a lot for me. He is a dark horse candidate because if the Jets can make it to the playoffs, I don't see how you don't vote him in as MVP.
I mean, it
That's
depends. It depends on the stats. I mean, even last year with no quarterbacks, that Jets defense was leaving marks.
Listen, I'm going to say it this way. There is a lot of Mahomes and Lamar Jackson MVP fatigue, right? It's going to happen just like in the NBA. No one wins it 3 times in a row. Well, the MVP, no one's going to win it back-to-back like Aaron Rodgers just did a few years ago.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? Lamar Jackson's not going to win it again this year. As much as he's not going to.
He didn't deserve it last year.
He did it. He did it. And I'll be the first person, even though it's fucking going to... I'll be fucking come at me for this.
You did say
it was
that.
either Dak Prescott or
Brock Purdy. I had Brock Purdy. I even said I said it was either CMC, Tyreek, or Brock Purdy. Those were my 3 people. I don't think Dak deserved it, but Dak deserved it more than Lamar. And I don't know how Lamar won it. Okay, that's a different topic. Now, Rookie of the Year and Defensive Player.
Rookie of the Year.
I hope it's not a quarterback. I really hate when it's the quarterback.
I'm gonna stick away from a quarterback, otherwise, because I can tell you right now, if we're saying quarterback,
It's not Caleb Williams. Nah, it's not gonna be Caleb Williams.
It's Caleb Williams or Jaden Daniels. Those are the 2 that are gonna get it, because those are the 2 that have been hyped up for 2.5 years now. As they've been hyped up since the draft. They've been hyping them up through training camp. They're building that narrative to give this narrative award to those 2 players.
I think Caleb has the highest chance because he has a good wide receiver core.
I will say this. The player to look out for, and again, hates me to say this. There's 2, and they're both from my division. Marvin Harrison Jr. Or Blake Corum.
Blake Corum? I mean, he has to outplay Kyron.
Or he just has to play long enough. He has to let Kyron play long enough to get hurt.
Which is a high possibility because he missed like 5 games last season.
All you need is a chance.
I think Marvin Harrison, is higher on a lot of consensus where even I think Vegas favors him the highest. Yeah. So, I mean, hey, if the scouts and the people that do the homework are very high on this player, there's probably a reason. But I'm also a guy where I'm like, hey, I seen the highlights. I seen the highlights of Kadarius Toney, and he's trash. So, I'm not saying these players are, but again, I
forgot which one of you guys told me he was Deebo 2.0.
Oh my god, yo, honestly, and when he was there, he was electric, but then he's never available. Just hope
because he's a dumbass. He's literally a dumbass.
So, do you think Chiefs have the highest opportunity to finish again with the Super Bowl this year? I mean, they did add Xavier Worthy. They added more speed. They got freaking Hollywood Brown. They definitely improved from last year. And I know it pains to ask this question, but honestly speaking, they're the defending back-to-back champs, and I think they got better.
I think they have the second best chance in the AFC.
Who's the first?
I think it's the Texans.
Really? Not the Ravens?
No,
They got Derrick Henry.
I'm gonna get shit for this. There is a curse on the Ravens right now, where no matter who they put at any of the offensive skill positions, at least 3 of them get season-ending injuries. It's happened the last 3 years. Most of the time, it's been to their running backs. Right? Last year was a running back
and quarterback.
Right? And then quarterback for a few games.
Yeah.
And the year before that, it was Lamar Jackson for a few games. Like, come on. How many times, like, are we going to flip a coin to see if they're going to be healthy this year? Like, I can't back that choice up because of just history now. Now they have to prove it to me.
But I think Lamar Jackson, he is a great player, but I think it's just the regular season, the fantasy perspective. When it comes to playoffs, even players that don't display that type of skill become beast. Like, example, I'm not trying to say Eli, Nick Foles.
No, you should say Eli.
No, but
Say Eli.
Eli.
He's going into the Hall of Fame first round.
That's the reason why I don't want to say it. That's why I don't want to say it.
I don't care how people think about it. You have whatever you want to call regular season. And I'm going to say it this way. Do you want to be Peyton Manning or do you want to be Eli Manning? They're both in the Hall of Fame. Or they both will be.
Yeah, they're both in. I mean, Eli is definitely in the Hall of Fame. The reason why I'm not saying it, because I think Eli already has earned his place among the elites because he has 2 rings. He has 2 MVPs. That's a different conversation. I'm saying Nick Foles because he was a nobody and he was the backup in a team who happened to lead a good team after Carson Wentz got hurt, a good team to Super Bowl, and he was great the whole way to the Super Bowl, and he beat Tom Brady in a very high offensive game. Some players get lucky like that.
I don't think that was luck. I think that year Bill Belichick got outplayed.
I mean, so there are other teams in NFC that got outplayed by Nick Foles.
Yeah. and what I'd say, and I go back to your conversation about Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is more Peyton Manning than Tom Brady, in my book.
In those last minute interceptions and stuff.
He's great he has great stats. He'll always have wins. But when it comes to the playoffs, it's always something that stops. But it's never Lamar's fault. It's everyone else's fault.
No. Peyton, I mean, I think Eli has higher. Even though Peyton is the better quarterback, I think Eli is a higher pace because the last ring that Peyton won, we know that the defense carried up the whole way. Peyton didn't do shit, absolutely nothing.
Remember a few years ago when people got on me about Jimmy Garoppolo handing the ball off 23 times in a game and winning the game? That's what Peyton Manning did to a Super Bowl.
Yes,
no one shit on him.
And Von Miller won the game. Yeah. Okay.
So did we. That's all I'm saying.
So if you are to make your dream fantasy team, 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end.
Let's go in order. Quarterback. Talking weeks 1 through 14, I believe.
No, let's just say 17 now. It's 17 now. It's because we playoffs. You have to consider playoffs. You have to consider finals.
You're right.
And I'm strictly talking fantasy football.
Yeah. You'd probably think I'd go someone like CJ Stroud, but it's a strategy I've won my fantasy leagues in the past with. And I'll tell you the quarterback that I won both of my fantasy championships with after this, and it might make sense to you. But if he's 100% healthy, I'm going Kirk Cousins.
Oh.
And the quarterback that I'm referring to back in the day, which is kind of the same reason why I want to say Kirk Cousins right now, because he's in a similar position, is Phillip Rivers.
Okay.
Right? You got Vincent Jackson and Keenan Allen back in those days.
Yeah, fuck it. One of them going to get it.
Come on. Making points all day. It's just touchdown after touchdown, 2-point conversion, passing yards left and right. That's all you need. Right? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter how good your team is.
And Falcons have the second best O-line for rush in the whole league.
And the second thing on that is their defense is atrocious.
That is true. That is true. They're going to be
They're going to be back. He's going to be throwing the ball. I want opportunities over guarantees.
Okay.
That's how I look at that. Now, how many wide receivers?
2. We're just going 2 and 2. 2 running backs, 2 wide receiver, 1 tight end.
2 wide receivers. Same vein. I'll go Tyreek Hill. He's going to get the ball. He's going to blow by somebody. He's going to get all the targets that he wants as long as he stays healthy.
NFL's #1 player of the year.
Yeah, which that's a whole other situation right there.
How does he win #1 player, but he does not win the MVP?
How does he win #1 player, but disappears for 3 games?
I mean, he disappeared as a player. He disappeared when the Dolphins needed wins. I agree. No, but he got hurt. Those games he was hurt because we saw him. His hamstring was hurting. He tried to come back in, and then Waddle was the target. And Tua forgets to throw.
Correct me if I'm wrong, right? and this is me heaping more praise because I am not a Patrick Mahomes hater. Wasn't Patrick Mahomes hurt all year too?
That was no, that was when the quarterback's documentary was happening.
Yeah, but he was hurt last year too. I remember because I watched the game. He got hurt.
Oh yes, he did, and he came back in the playoffs. Yes, he got hurt, and we thought he was done.
Yep,
yes, he did.
Back. And what did he do? He not only came back, he won, and he kept winning, and he hoisted the trophy. Right?
Yeah, but
that to me gives you the opportunity to be the number one player.
Okay.
When you can do that. But going back, definitely Tyreek Hill. I am so tempted to stack with Drake London, but I don't know. I don't know. So I'm going to go. I hate taking Amon-Ra St. Brown after a big year and a receiver getting paid their first contract, because that's always bad. So I'll say Tank Dell.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I think Stephon Diggs and Nico Collins open up that middle for him, and that middle, instead of running a go route on the out, he's running a go route against a nickel linebacker or a nickel corner, right? One of those hybrid positions. He's running against a safety. They're not catching. I don't care.
He's insanely fast, and he showed last year.
Running backs. This is where it gets tough.
You have to say CMC. You have to say CMC.
I told you at the beginning of this, I will not draft CMC. Will not do it. And I also will never draft a Ravens running back.
Derrick Henry, yeah, because they're cursed.
Never do it. No matter what, they just always get hurt. Opportunities wise, I love Bijan Robinson, right? Because not for the rushing, but for the catching out of the backfield and basically bailing Kirk Cousins out of some stupid stuff that he might be doing to get them down to the game. But overall, you tell me I'm wrong, man.
No, you're not. It's happened so many times because he did that shit with the Giants when they were playing against the Vikings.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, it is what it is.
1 p.m. Kirk is amazing. 1 p.m. Kirk is amazing.
What, one? Yeah, solar powered Kirk? It's amazing. First overall running back, Saquon Barkley.
Ooh, I mean, I'm actually against him this year because Jalen Hurts is going to take so many of those push.
That's perfectly fine. I'm okay with those touchdowns because as much as we think that it was all Jalen Hurts, the man who anchored that is no longer there.
But no, what's that? Kellen Moore is there now, and Kellen Moore loves passing.
No. See, you're completely forgetting. The person who makes that play is Jason Kelce. He's no longer there. It's a new center. You have to be a strong country motherfucker.
That O-line is still really good. And in the past, they're still not going to get rid of that play because I see the highlights. They keep practicing in training camp.
That's because they need to, because they don't have Jason Kelce. When you have an all-pro, all-world center that can push people back, and he's no longer there, and you're replacing him. Yes, the O-line is great, but that's the left and the right. The middle is where the ball goes for the tush push.
Yeah.
That's the problem. I don't see him doing that. I see Kellen Moore doing more. Give it to Saquon Barkley, push it in by himself, or run to the outside and go behind Lane Johnson, or who the hell is the other? Who's the left tackle?
Yeah, he just got paid. I forget that. Yeah, but I don't know. I think you're bigger on Saquon this year than I am, and obviously Saquon's dead to me because he's in the Eagles. That's another conversation. Yeah. But no, I honestly, I really like Derrick Henry more, even though the curse is there for Ravens. I like Derrick Henry more because, yes, this is the best situation Barkley has ever been in. But at the same time, we saw it unfold last year, and Eagles still have so many weapons. They got Goddard, they got AJ Brown, they got Devontae Smith, who all got paid. Then they have Kenneth Gainwell. They still have the running backs that took the third down reps last year, even though when they had DeAndre Swift, who sucked. And I'm not saying Saquon is way better, but the possibility of that tush push, let's just say it works. That's like 10 attempts at red zone gone away from Saquon. That's like, instead of getting 12 touchdowns, he might get anywhere from 8. And it's like, doesn't that hurt his draft capital?
Mm-hmm. It does, but I think Saquon, I know what the Eagles are. They run the ball to throw the ball.
Yeah.
I go back to, he's going to get the most opportunities to run that ball in that offense.
Of course. They're paying him like close to $15 million a year.
And if the team is up, they're going to run the ball. Right? I predict the Eagles to be a good team this year.
Even with Saquon's injury history?
Yep, he's going to run the ball. I look for opportunities at our running back position, not
because they're going to have leads.
Yep.
Okay, that's fair to say. That's fair to say.
I say in almost the same aspect, but different in a way. I'll say, and I hate to do it this way, I hate to say this. I think our next, my second running back on the team, it's a toss-up between James Cook and Rachaad White.
Ooh.
I don't see...
They're the same type of players.
Yep. And I see them, again, they're going to be on semi...
I like White better. I like White better.
Rachaad White's is more of a threat on the Bucs, and we've seen how he plays.
Because Baker loves checking it down.
Yep, which is great. That's great for us in fantasy, and I think he'll be good at that. I just don't know if... Again, I get weary of people who get paid. Rachaad White's game is going to be dependent on how Baker Mayfield plays. James Cook's game is independent of how Josh Allen plays.
But Josh Allen, like Hurts, takes the ball a lot.
Yeah, but you saw last year when they changed their OC, they switched to a running team.
Cooks was
then
good.
I personally will tell you, that team looked the most dangerous with James Cook rushing the ball.
That's agreed.
And if
I agree.
someone in that organization finally fucking gets it to their head that they need to give James Cook or another running back on the team the ball instead of Josh Allen, they'll fucking win a Super Bowl at some point.
Okay. So, then tight end. Who's your last dream team player?
That's tough. I'm not going to say Kelsey. Whenever I draft
I think Kelsey has... I don't think Kelsey is even top... He's top 5, but he's not top 3 this year.
And it's...
He
I don't want to say...
but he's not.
I don't think it's Laporta this year.
No.
I think...
it's the same player. I think it's the same... It's from the Bills. Kincaid.
I think Kincaid can do it.
I mean, Gabe Davis is gone. Stephon Diggs is gone. There's over 250 vacated targets. And I know Keon Cole's not getting it.
Problem is, and this is another take that you probably heard me say before, Josh Allen is trash.
Yeah, I agree. But he loves his tight ends. We've seen his tight ends.
He's absolute trash. Doesn't matter if he loves the tight ends. And the minute the tight end's open, he's not throwing it. He's going to run around for 30 seconds in a backfield to fucking backyard football and then throw across his body trying to get to the tight end on a miracle throw. Instead of taking the fucking same... You remember this fucking play against the Chiefs. It was the same 10-yard pass.
And he threw it over. Yeah, and he threw over to Stephon Diggs.
He threw it to Stephon Diggs, didn't catch them.
Yeah, I remember.
It was a first fucking down, game over.
Gabe Davis was wide open. No one was covering for at least 4 or 5 yards.
Davis left that fucking team because Josh Allen is a big pile of fucking trash.
I mean, even Stephon Diggs stopped playing for him. I have Kincaid higher. So going with all that, who is your tight end?
Tight end. I love going off the book on tight end, but I think this year it's going to be Mark Andrews. It's going to be Mark Andrews.
He's I think older, another year. He's been hurt. It's been so much more. I mean, it's not even Zay Jones. It's they got what's his face?
Yeah,
Flowers. They got Rashad Bateman. And they've been talking about Bateman a lot this camp.
I'm going to say it this way. What was one of the greatest offenses in the world was the Patriots offense when they had Rob Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez.
Correct.
What do they have in Mark Andrews and Isaiah, if they utilize him correctly? I'm looking at potential for a tight end, not.
But I mean, listen, Aaron Hernandez is a way better talent than Likely. It's just the fact that in Ravens' system, tight ends are more successful to get the ball at a better placement, because when a mobile quarterback moves, the tight end doesn't really run that many routes. They're told to blanket, pick up the coverage, or just get open, catch the ball, and do whatever you need to. So that's why Mark Andrews likely they succeed. I just don't think, like you said, there's always 3 injuries on the offense, and my money is more towards Andrews, and yours is also running back. I just haven't seen Andrews play healthy for too long for him to repeat as number 1 again. I don't have Kelsey as there. I like Kincaid because of the vacant target, but this is the only time I will say I think Bowers is going to win it.
I like Bowers. He's kind of like my 3rd choice on that. But I think there's someone we're forgetting about.
Laporta?
And I'm actually going to change my answer.
Okay.
And you're going to laugh at me because we make fun of this player for the last 3 years.
Kyle Pitts?
Yup.
No way. Pitts.
And what I've been reading, again, it could be completely fucking
Yo, I even
fodder.
drafted him. This guy, man. I don't know if I'm gonna draft him. He's on the list. He's on the list.
He's on my list too. But what did Hawkinson do with Kirk Cousins?
But Hawkinson is good. Oh no, sorry. Hawkinson was better on the Lions than he's on the Vikings. You're right. No, I don't know. Hawkinson was good too. No, Hawkinson was better. Yeah, he was
He's better on the Vikings than he was
with the Lions. Yes, you're agreed.
Got the opportunities. I'm going to say Kyle Pitts, and one of the main reasons is everything I've been reading about on Kyle Pitts is he's not lining up as a tight end. He's lining up as a slot wide receiver or an outside receiver.
I think that's what they said too when he was getting.
He's pulling, and again, I'm going to use the Shanahan reference here. He's playing the Deebo role of moving across the offense and being the mismatch across anybody, and that's why I like Kyle Pitts.
See, I'm okay with that because that's what the whole reason when Giants drafted Evan Ingram, he was drafted as a tight end, but everybody knew this guy didn't know, or he didn't play like a tight end. He played like a wide receiver, and I think Kyle Pitts is the same type of player. If they can move around and give him roles to be in the wide receiver and take that, he's beating all those linebackers. He has the speed, he has the big frame for it, he can do it. But again, this guy has proven me wrong so many times that I am very hesitant to even.
Listen. It's if you're telling me, we have 7 positions.
Yes.
In Kyle Pitts would be my 7th pick.
I like Njoku better, and Njoku hasn't done shit either.
I still like Kyle. I don't like Njoku because I don't know who's throwing him the ball. It's not Joe Flacco.
Well, Joe Flacco's retired for now.
Yeah, and Joe Flacco got Njoku all those points. Watson did it.
No, it's just I'm just saying I haven't seen Pitts, so it's crazy. I think that's I definitely did not see that one coming. It's Kyle Pitts is not even on my top 10. I don't think I was even thinking about drafting him. It's that far gone. Even Drake London, I really like Drake London because when Kirk Cousins has his wide receiver 1, he has a wide receiver 1. And Drake London has that skill set to be. So, okay. I mean, I really like your team because you stacked Kirk Cousins with Kyle Pitts, so you now have that. And it's a very realistic team because now getting Saquon, getting Tyreek, all these players is very, very possible.
And again, that's what I'm doing. When you said, what's your ultimate fantasy? I'm trying to think about where they would be drafted.
True.
And how I would do this, right? Because obviously I'd have to take Tyreek Hill as my 1st overall pick, right? Saquon might have to be my 2nd overall pick.
Yeah.
Right? And then we got to start working our way down to either Kirk Cousins or Kyle Pitts being my 6th and 7th round picks, right? Like I don't see how I can get a team that works that I just showed you.
Yeah.
Unless we did a realistic draft.
No. I honestly, I loved it. You caught me by surprise. I'm so glad you didn't say like it would be Patrick Mahomes. Oh, it'll be CMC. I'm so glad you didn't say that because in a way it's you trying to. I love it. It's like laws of attraction. Just trying to make that happen for yourself. And
Yeah.
I'm excited
It's
for
realistic, right? It's a realistic thing. Like I want to will it into the universe, but again, for the people watching, I want to make sure they know, like, it's not, oh, I'm going to take the best player at every position and put it on my team. That's not feasible. Those
That's
teams
true.
don't rarely win, right? You almost can never get that unless you play in a trash league.
And we see that
You play
all
in
the
a
time.
good league like ours. The team I got is something that is actually conceivable to get.
If injuries and curses didn't play factor, I mean, that's what fantasy
Yeah.
football is. It's
Yeah.
it truly is 50% research. It's not even skills. If you do the research and you bring that research being seeing the past few years, seeing what changes there are in offense, seeing if they switch players, switch teams, and that's one thing. I don't know how you feel about that. I really don't like to target players that switch into new systems their first year because you're going to regress. You're a candidate to regress.
I'd say unless, let's talk about Saquon on that, right? He was in the Giants offense. He was good, not great, right? But we could talk about the Giants scheme last year or the Giants overall team. I know you don't want to, but the offensive line wasn't great, right?
Yes.
So you go, let's look at the numbers, right? If 100% is your efficiency number with everything being perfect, if your offensive line is not great, you're automatically at 50%.
Okay.
Right? Then, if you're always down in a game, or you don't have a good quarterback, or whatever you want to call it, bad luck, and you always have to play from behind, take it down another 25%. Now you're down to the last 1/4% of efficiency. That's where Saquon Barkley lived last year.
I mean, I'm not beat against it. Saquon legit carried the entire offense. He was the best player for the Giants for years.
And I'm talking about in perspective of he's going to be on an Eagles team that has a great O-line. So instead of dropping 50%, you probably drop 25%, right, to 75. Let's do a larger number there, right? Now they're going to be playing from ahead. That's more opportunities to run the ball.
Plus, his every carry's more effective because the O-line's already better.
And the quarterback's better. So he's going to be able to audible in and out of plays, right? It could be a run to the left, and he could say, no, we're going to run to the right. Now you switch up the whole offense. Now the percentage of getting 2 yards is higher because instead of getting 2, he's getting 12, right? Because the offense is just geared towards the run game. That's why I like someone like Saquon switching teams, because you saw how much he carried a team that wasn't that great around him. And now he's going to a great team where he doesn't have to be great every play.
No, but I think Saquon's situation is very good for him, especially for the position for running back. Also, his career. I think this will help he have a longer life. But I'm talking about players like in terms of like wide receivers, like Stephon Diggs, Keenan Allen, even Brandon Aiyuk if he gets traded. I'm not going to target these players because one, they're in a crowded room of DJ Moore. I think is better than Keenan Allen at this time.
Yes.
Collins and Tangle are better than Stephon Diggs.
You forgot the one thing. Team chemistry.
It does
for the Texans, right? Stephon Diggs has to rebuild his chemistry. Nico Collins knows where to go and where to trail up his route, and Tank Dell knows the same based on playing with CJ for a year.
Yes.
Stephon has to learn that. In the Bears situation, it's completely different because it's a brand new quarterback coming in. But DJ Moore is your speed X receiver, right? He is going to take the top off the defense, but he's also going to run routes, right? He's going to be a faster, smaller Keenan Allen for them.
Correct.
Keenan Allen is going to be a de facto tight end 1. He's going to play on the inside, and he's going to be in the middle, and Cole Kmet is going to be on the other side. So again, when I bring up that whole offense that we watched with Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez, this is an even better example of what that could be.
But
right?
in fantasy perspective, I'm seeing like these players that change team. They're in a crowded room now. Their target share is going to go from 100 guaranteed targets to 80, and especially how they were playing with 100 guaranteed targets.
And again, just to even jump on you right there, 100 to 80 is a 20% drop. 20% is the difference between getting into your fantasy playoffs and being the last fucking team in your fucking league. Like, you have to understand that, and that's what people don't understand.
But that's also boom and burst. You can't compare like that 20%. Now you're looking at a number at the end of the year, but when you're looking game by game, some games you'll have Keenan Allen probably go for 150 yards and score 2 touchdowns, and then there'll be games where he'll have 60 yards in like 2 games. I just don't like to target, especially receivers that shift over to a new team. Unlike AJ Brown, who came out and was amazing. Amari Cooper, another example. But right now, my safety nets are more likely players, or especially rookies, coming into a new system and have not been anything, because it's easier to learn something that's brand new to remove something that's already there, to like make a version of yourself. So I think Stephon Diggs and Keenan Allen, those kind of players, the old vets, in a crowded good rooms, I'm just going to completely avoid. And then Brandon Aiyuk goes to Patriots, Browns, definitely avoiding him, because he's
you don't know who's throwing the ball, right?
He's going from a potential 4th round, 3rd round, 4th round fantasy pick to, if he's in Browns, 6th, 7th round, easy, behind Amari Cooper.
Which, I will tell you this, remember, Amari Cooper wasn't drafted high last year.
And he was insane.
But he showed out. And that's where you get, again, we talk about this. Fantasy is just that. It's fantasy. You got to do the research, like you said. You got to understand that your 7th round pick might be the one that saves your entire fantasy season, and your 1st round pick might be the reason why you lost every game in that season.
I mean, look at last year. Puka. Who? Kyron. Who? These are fantasy darlings now. So yeah, I mean, V, thank you so much for joining. We've been talking about fantasy football for a long time. We could talk about more, obviously, but we have lives and we need to do things. But I'm excited for fantasy football season is right here. We have less than, about a month now. In a month, we'll have football almost every single week. Fantasy football's here too. Drafts are coming. When's your first draft?
It's funny. Our league is my first draft.
Oh man.
Second.
Oh, you got a while.
We backload the league that I'm a commissioner in. No one wants to draft until after the last preseason game. It's just how we've done it every time. We want to be safe. But I already told them I have an in-person draft on the 2nd, so we're probably doing a 3rd.
Okay. And I think it's good because you can take whatever knowledge you got from the first thing and apply it to the 2nd, even though drafts never go the same. But I'm excited. Yep. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope Niners have a good season, and they most likely will compared to Giants. And let's see what happens, and we can talk about it throughout the season. If you come back whenever you want to, we could talk about your insights, how you're going to tackle or see weekly what your players are. If CJ Stroud is still going to be your favorite player, and we could still talk about Pitts if Pitts shows up. So I'm excited about those. Yeah, good luck, bro.
All right, man. Thank you for having me out, man. Bang, bang.
Thank you so much for joining. That's me, Vishal, and hope he's a Niner fan. Any Niner fans, comment below, like and subscribe. I'll be back later, and so might be V. Till then, peace out.